two behind the wall.
Oh my goodness, a scary situation on pit road here at Richmond.
Safety workers were quickly there to extinguish the fire.
That's Brendan Gaughan's pit. I saw Eric McClure's, couldn't see who was on fire because of all the flames and smoke.
Wow.
Wow, look at the fuel man.
We haven't seen a fire like that in a long time.
Anthony O'Brien, the rear tire changer, doing his job, and watch what happens. And we saw O'Brien.
This is by far one of the most scariest pit road accidents I've ever seen in any NASCAR race ever. Brendan Gaughan was in the middle of making a pit stop when the gas exploded on his vehicle, bursting it into flames. The gas can man caught on fire, but was able to be put out because of the safety equipment he had and the fire extinguishers. He was rushed to the medical center, but he was okay after this, and he even continued making pit stops the following weekend at the next race. Talk about mentally and physically tough.
A strange and terrible wreck as Mark Martin was caught up in an accident in front of him off turn 4, spun down pit road and caught the butt end of the opening of pit wall. You see Mark climbing from the car there, fortunately, because look where that car hit that wall just behind the driver's compartment.
I don't know if that got the oil tank there. More than likely, that's probably exactly situated right behind the driver's seat there, just in front of the rear tire.
Yeah, you can see oil up inside the glass, the rear window. It's busted the oil tank. Good to see Mark get out of that car. That was crazy.
And see him thank the safety workers there too as he walked away. Racing right in front of him in turn 4.
Yeah, and Mark had caught these cars. You can see Bobby Labonte looks like just loses it, gets loose with that car right up behind him there. But Mark had been there for a while, and you can see Mark spinning now. Not much you can do except hold on and lock the brakes as a driver at this point in time.
And right there, oh.
Yeah, I was lucky the crew members weren't injured there as well. I'm telling you, that was just a crazy accident.
Mark's trying to keep it off the wall right here and keep it a little damaged as he possibly can, but just can't get it back out. Wow, you can see all the oil go out from under
instantly it ruptured that oil tank. That could have been a big problem if it had caught fire immediately.
Man.
Safety crews were right on the spot, though.
And Martin had caught this 47 and 42 and been behind them for about 10 laps, but couldn't get around them because the 47 and 42 had a little fresher tires, but you can see the fire underneath, but the fire crew was right there on top of things.
In 2012, Mark Martin had one of the most horrific pit road accidents we've ever seen in NASCAR. In my opinion, this is top 5 of the most scariest moments we've ever seen on pit road. Mark Martin was leading the race actually when this happened, and that was not the lucky part of him. The lucky part was him surviving this horrible crash and not injuring a single human on pit road. Mark Martin was turned on the racetrack and he went down pit road at over 100 miles per hour and narrowly hit his car right behind his seat where he sits in his race car. Mark Martin was lucky there was nobody in that pit stall of Casey Kahne's that he ran into or any pit crew members near the wall when he hit it. Thankfully, everybody was okay, but this is probably the closest call we've seen in the last 20 years in NASCAR at a pit stop.
Reed Sorensen has had a problem. He almost came to a halt, but could not make the entrance to pit road. Caution.
He's got a right front tire down, Mike. You can see when he went by.
Reed Sorensen's car came to a halt on pit road, and Eric Ludwig, a crewman from Casey Kahne, comes running right in, gets the window net down with the help of the NASCAR official, and lifts Sorensen out of the car and to safety. Attaboy.
NASCAR is by far one of the most scariest sports, especially when a driver catches on fire in his race car. And this is what happened to Reed Sorensen during the 2014 race at Richmond. He was slow on the track with an obvious problem. When the camera cut back to him, he was on fire and bursting into flames. Reed Sorensen drove it all the way to pit road until he made a stop on the track. Once he stopped the track on pit road, Casey Kahne's team members actually helped him get out of his car and to safety. This is just some great sportsmanship by them.
Of Ryan Reed, take another look. And one of the crew members got his foot run over.
And that's Talvin McClurkin. I've caught up with him here. He's the front tire changer for the Ryan Reed. Are you all right? We saw you take a little spill there.
Yeah, I went for a little ride there. The lug nut on the splitter, and I just tripped going for it, so it's all good.
You're going to be all good to continue pitting?
I'm sorry, I can hear you.
You're going to be all good to continue pitting?
Oh, yeah.
You need to free me up if I'm going to, or tighten me up if I'm going to be up there racing for the lead. The drag race off of pit road. Look at it, 3 wide with William Byron there. But Logano uses that #1 pit stall to his advantage, gains a couple of spots, and there's a fire, Rick, on pit road.
Yeah, gas can has come out onto pit road, and we're seeing the fire there. It got drug out into the middle of pit road, and a big fire as some of the crews are making their way out there to put that out. So this pit road stop has a few cars that come out, one of them being the 54 of Ty Dillon, bringing the gas can along with him. It ignites and lights pit road on fire.
One crewman got upended. And it happened when 4th place Reed Sorensen was leading 5th place Tony Stewart into the pits from the DirecTV Hot Pass cam.
Wow.
Jason Lee, Tony's Jackman, went up and over. Now watch how close Tony is to Reed coming in.
And that's the reason Jason Lee couldn't go out there, because the 41 was coming in and there just wasn't any room for him to run across the front of the car.
And because Sorensen short pitted right at the back of his pit, you'll see when Tony pulls out here, there's not a lot of room either.
But you don't think these guys are athletes? He never checked up with that jack, getting the right side and then the left side of that car up.
One thing you never really think about is when you're pitting with the same guy right in front of you. You know, that's going to mess up the choreography for the pit crews around you. And this is what happened to Tony Stewart during the 2008 Richmond race when the 41 car pitted right in front of him. Tony Stewart's Jackman had to go at a bad angle because the 41 car pulled into Tony's pit stall. Tony Stewart accidentally ran the Jackman over, but Tony Stewart accidentally hit the Jackman where he ended up on Tony Stewart's hood, but the Jackman still got up without any hesitation, jacked the car up, and continued the pit stop. And the funniest thing is Tony Stewart beat the 41 car out of pit road. That's hilarious. Unfortunately for Tony Stewart's pit crew, that was the second time in 2 years they've had an accident on pit road. The first was in 2007 at Dover when Tony Stewart would intentionally crash Kurt Busch on the front stretch, damaging Busch's race car. Kurt Busch was so upset that he would retaliate against Tony Stewart, but not in the way you would probably think. Tony Stewart was making a pit stop at the time, and Kurt Busch would drive into Tony Stewart's pit stop, almost hitting one of his pit crew members in the process. Kurt Busch was immediately told that he was done for the race and he must go to the NASCAR hauler to have a talk with the NASCAR officials.
Tony Stewart comes to pit road, and then Kurt Busch comes in as they're looking at the damage to Stewart's car. Kurt comes up to offer his opinion.
And guess what? That got the 2 car parked
for the day.
Meet me at the Oval office, please.
Yeah, it's nothing to play around with there with crew members out there that basically have no protection.
Steve Burns.
Mike, here's the update that we know down here in the garage. Crew Chief Troy Raker has summoned his crew to the transporter. He said if you're not working on that race car, come to the transporter immediately, and it is our understanding that NASCAR may meet them in there for a meeting.
Dale Jr.'s car, and you've got to be agile when you're on pit road. Watch Todd Colburn, the Jackman for Bill Elliott, try to scooch out of the way as Jack Sprague goes by. Todd gets upended, gets right back up, back at it.
Looks like everybody but Todd Bodine, Elliott Sadler, Bobby Labonte, Kyle Petty, everybody else is on pit road. Whoa, Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch get together. He gets one of the crew members. There's some mistakes. This will cost you getting in the Daytona 500.
The 97 was out of control getting on pit road. He couldn't even get it wound up.
The Jackman was hit, but he is okay. Matt.
See Kurt Busch there in the outside line right there. He was out of control when he got to the entrance of pit road, Darrell.
Yeah, he did not know they were going to pit, and when he saw that they were, he tried to come with them, and he couldn't make it.
Now the rest of the guys come to pit road. Todd Bodine, Elliott Sadler, Bobby Labonte, Kyle Petty, they're on pit road, as well as Ryan Newman's back on pit road.
Now the Jackman for Kurt Busch gets upended, held the jack out for protection, and he is okay. Scott Radell, the Jackman.
Back at Homestead Miami Speedway under caution for the 6th time tonight. Coming out lap 86, our in-race reporter, Matt Kenseth. A left rear tire. We're told they've been on pit road and they have a brace they're going to have to put there on that rear panel. And how about some close calls? You think these guys aren't gladiators that go over the wall? It's into the danger zone. Jason Tate, the Jackman for Kelly Murray. Whoa, just gets in there between him and the 18 car, Barry Calmarola. Wow.
Man, look at this right here. Yo, he had to jump over both cars. Jumped over the hood and had to dodge that 18.
And he's carrying a jack as he's jumping. Think this guy isn't a pretty good athlete?
I have never seen nothing like that in my life. That was so close. His foot barely fit between both those cars and hardly ever missed a beat. Threw that jack down, jacked that car up. He's going to talk about this one for a long time.
I think Rusty Wallace is right. This pit crew guy, I bet, still talks about it to this day of his accomplishment on pit road. This is one of the most wildest things we've ever seen at Homestead during a pit stop, so let's check it out. During the pit stop in the NASCAR Nationwide Series in 2009, the pit crew for the number 47 car jumped in between the number 18 car as he went into his pit stall. And I mean, carrying a jack. I don't know how much a jack weighs officially, but it's over 20 pounds. That's insane for him to jump like that in between two moving cars, not even flinch, and still know exactly what to do and go back and jack the car up without any hesitation. That's insane.
Because of the issues he had on the track, he's checked up more in the speed lane. See, he kind of is slowing down, obviously, in front of the 5. The 5 can't speed up. He'd be speeding on pit road. So drivers, what's the etiquette? Do you normally blend left earlier than you check up? I mean, it seems like an odd kind of stack. And then right here, great work by the pit crew. You see the jack get hit.
The 2018 Watkins Glen race is remembered by lots of fans because it was Chase Elliott who picked up the victory that day and his first ever NASCAR Cup Series career win. But there was some incidents on pit road that I bet a lot of people don't remember, and they happened almost at the same time between Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, and Chase Elliott, the eventual winner. So let's take a look at it. Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski both picked pit stalls at the front of the pit road so they wouldn't have any accidents mostly. But unfortunately for Denny Hamlin's team, this was one of the worst pit stops of the season as they would accidentally leave Denny Hamlin running over the gun and losing one of the tires in the process. This also hurt Brad Keselowski's exit on pit road. And the eventual winner, Chase Elliott, had one of the most wildest things happen to him. His front tire changer almost got run over by Chase Elliott, but was able to save himself at the last second. One of the best things to do in NASCAR when you're a really top competitive driver is make sure you pick a good pit stall so you won't have the slow cars interfere. Jeff Gordon did so, but unfortunately he still got run into by the 34 Taco Bell car at Loudon in 2013. Thankfully, nobody was injured in this process because that 34 car went flying to his pit stall, but was still able to keep it off his own pit crew. And Jimmy Johnson even had a mistake at Pocono in 2019. One of his pit crew members didn't pull the jack far enough out of the way. The jack got hit by Jimmy Johnson and kicked him right in the legs. This could have been a way worse accident than it already was.
Colin Pawsey right here.
Yeah, he's just
front carrier
in the grill, but boy, to a driver, and he get his foot caught underneath that splitter.
Yeah.
And, you know, for a driver, normally when the jack is dropped, that's his signal to go. So, you know, Carl Edwards did what he's supposed to do, but he just didn't quite get out of the way quick enough.
Hard to believe, but he limped away and is doing just fine now, Marty.
Yeah, he limped away and he just did that pit stop again, Adam. And actually what happened is his left shoe got caught underneath the splitter of the car and actually had the left shoe. The shoe actually came apart. Look, the shoe came apart, and that saved him right there. The shoe came apart. He was able to walk away just fine. And you know what they were doing? He was pulling that tape we've been talking about for 10 minutes off of the grill, trying to get Carl Edwards' car a little bit cooler, but thank goodness to the shoe.
Watch this right here. There's a tire that can, and look at that guy go up on the hood.
Wow. That's acrobatic. And Casey Kane is the grass catcher car. Now watch that tire get away from the orange car. Harvick hits it, and a crewman has to take big evasive action right here.
This is acrobatic right here. That's what these you think these guys that work in the pits are not athletes?
And our Olympic acrobat of the day is with Steve Burns.
Yeah, that Adam Mosher here just watched that on the replay, and I got to ask you what was going through your mind when you went over top of that car.
Get out of the way, don't get run over. No, it was really my only option. It wasn't by plan at all, but we got penalized. I don't think that's fair to the Bass Pro Shop Chevy. Sorry, Kevin Harvick's probably got a big old dent in his hood right now, but I didn't do it on purpose. I was trying to get out of the way, you know?
They say race car drivers have to be the best and precise. They have to make decisions on the racetrack at a split second. But they're not the only ones like that. Even pit crew members. Look at this pit crew member by Jamie McMurray's crew. This guy jumped out of the way as Kevin Harvick was exiting his pit stall, and he jumped on Kevin Harvick's car, on the hood of his race car. Remember, this isn't some backmarker team or something. This was for the lead off of pit road. So I bet Kevin Harvick was pretty upset after this incident. But regardless, this was one of the coolest things I've ever seen a pit crew member do in NASCAR.
Right here, when the jack drops, it's Carl's sign to leave, and the crew member's trying to get it out of the back window, but just doesn't do it. I mean, that's as much of an effort as you can give as a crew member trying to get that wrench out.
I wonder, Andy Petrie, would taking equipment out of the box include dragging a crewman out of the box?
Well, I don't know if the crewman counts as part of the equipment, but as you can see, that at least part of that wrench was still in the car. But even if not, that would still have been a penalty because they carried that equipment outside of the pit box before they removed it.
And this is what happens when you're trying to get in and out, two-tire change, and boom. You know, you're counting on your spotter.
See, Kyle Busch almost ran into the car in front of him.
You're counting on spotters. You're counting on help from your pit crew. You see the 48 car leaving the pits right here. The 9 car has already committed to his pit. Nothing can be done at that point.
Kevin Harvick needs forward fight. They changed 4 tires, reducing the air pressure. Fire in the back of the 29. He leaves the pits and gets out of here.
Now that's a burnout.
Fuel can. But the fuel can, the guy threw the can down and it's on fire.
Got the headers coming out, or the pipes coming out the side where they put the gas.
Look at that. He must have spilled some gas when the can disconnected from the car.
Right.
And my guess is that the guy putting on the lug nuts on the right rear, there was a spark. When the socket touched the nut, there was a spark.
During the 2013 race at Homestead, the final race of the season, Paul Menard pulled off the track with a caught-on-fire tire. When his pit crew members were changing the tire, it exploded and then burst into flames even more. This was an extremely dangerous situation for all the members to be in. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, but man, was that scary. Their tire just exploded. I've never seen anything like that, and we probably won't see that ever again, especially with the new tires that the NASCARs have nowadays.
This is the 99 returning to pit road after his original pit stop. And the car erupts into flames. On his pit stop, there was some fire during the pit stop, but we have seen that before where a spark will catch a little bit of excess fuel on fire. But this is much more severe than that.
Yeah, Steve, I think right now there's more questions than answers. A lot of people are saying, what exactly happened? I had asked Matt Swiderski, the crew chief, do you know what happened? And he just kind of threw up his hands as if he did not know what happened. Daniel did get out of the car. You saw that a moment ago. He came behind the pit box, sat down for a few moments, and now he is up there talking to the team.
The Daytona night race is always an entertaining race, to say the least. There's always crashes and an exciting finish. But in 2024, Daniel Suarez actually caught on fire on the racetrack, brought his car to pit road, and then jumped out of it with the help of his team members. Thankfully, Suarez was able to get out of this fiery race car at the time, but man, it was disappointing. He had a fast car that night. They were able to put the fire out, but to say the least, that race car will never be on the track again. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, if you've liked this video, I'm pretty sure these videos will catch your eye also.